This video was brought to you by Yamaha Proven Off-Road ATVs and side-by-side vehicles.
Hey ArcheryTalk, this is Lucas, and today we're going to look at my full long-term review of the Prime Logic CT9. Before we get started, if you could please like, share, and subscribe to the video, it really does help the channel a lot. Thank you so much. Back to the review, I guess we'll start with specs. This bow has an axle-to-axle length of 39 inches, a brace height of 7 inches, and an IBO rated speed of 325 feet per second. I've dressed this bow in a black gold competition sight with a specialty archery Versa scope, and especially archery peep and clarifier, and a bow doodle arrow rest. I've got Doinker platinum stabilizers on here, and the Doinker Mighty Mount stabilizer mount, absolutely my favorite mount in the industry that I've tried so far, and that's really how I've got this set up. This bow comes with the Trm Cams, which are draw length specific, so you have to order this cam with your draw length known for sure. There is some play with you can move either the limb stop or the cable stops, whichever one you choose to put on. And you've got about a ½ inch of play in there, but if you bring it in real short, it's gonna feel super aggressive, and if you bring it out all the way, it's gonna feel super loose. This bow has split limbs, which were first introduced by Prime last year on the original Logic, which was a 30-inch hunting bow. And the Logic CT9 is really just an extended version of that platform. Prime has now 4 different bows in the Logic family: the Logic 30-inch Logic, the Logic CT3, which is a 33-inch bow, the Logic CT5, which is a 35-inch bow, and this CT9, which is 39 inches. And interestingly, these bows are coming in, the Logic CT9 specifically, is coming in some $300 or so less expensive than the Prime flagship target bows of old. So the Centergy X1 I had last year and the STX 39 V2 I had the year before, those bows were coming in at about $1,600 or $1,700, and this one's coming in at $1,300. I have no idea why it's $300 less. I don't know if it's because Prime is trying to put some differential in there between the CT9 and the Centergy X1, which is still available and being produced as far as I know. But beyond that, as a consumer, it's great news because this is a fantastic target rig as is. If I were to do it again, I would order this with 30-inch cams and bring the draw length in a little bit. As it stands right now, I'm at 29.5 inches even, and my let off is at about 80%, which is a little high for me for a target bow. So I'm holding at about 12.6 or 12.8 pounds, which is just not quite enough holding weight for me. So this bow took a little bit of getting used to because I didn't have enough forethought to order the longer cams, which I was warned about by my Prime rep. I just foolishly went on my own. So I had a little struggles with this bow early on because I just wasn't used to the lack of holding weight. And ultimately what I've discovered is I just need to pull it into the wall a little bit harder, and all of a sudden I kind of made my own holding weight. So when I get into the back wall, I'm normally a very passive shooter, so I just had to make a mental note, and I'm still working on it, of just being more aggressive into the wall to get this bow to have basically the holding weight I want when I create it on my own. And the last few weeks have really come to kind of get super comfortable with this bow. I've been in a slump for 3-4 months. I've shown some other videos on the site with my issues, and this is the bow I've been using to break myself out of that slump, and I've really liked the progress I've made. Now, I'm not saying that progress was made just because of this bow. It's really what I'm doing upstairs and the changes I've made to my shot process, but this is the vehicle I've been using to achieve that, and it's been working out really well. I initially set up the Logic CT9 as a 3D bow, and that's what I really like shooting the Centergy X1 as a 3D bow last year. In fact, I had far and away the best year I'd ever had on the shooting 3D. I had the best scores of my life, so it's very sad to see it go. But this one has filled in admirably for me. It put up fine numbers for me in 3D. And then maybe a month or so ago, I switched this over to become my FITA/field bow. So I'm shooting skinny arrows out of this. In particular, they're gold tip Pierce Tour arrows. Fantastic target arrow if you're looking. And it's my first field event of the year. Went really well with this bow. I shot another one that went okay, not as well. Shot really well early, struggled a little bit late. That's my MO in general though. And I've shot some nice FITA scores with this thing. In fact, just recently my averages have kind of ticked back up to normal again, and this bow is fine in the middle when I do my job. So it really works well. I ordered this bow in the Tundra color, which is not a super usual target color, but I really like the earth tones that Prime had this year with the Tundra and the Morel. I got the Morel in the hunting bow from Prime this year, which you'll see in a future video. Their fit and finish is second to none. There's a couple companies that kind of match up with those guys really well, but I don't think Prime takes a backseat to nobody when it comes to fit and finish with their high end bows. This thing is flawless. I really like how it's set up. It looks right. The issue I had on some of the older Prime bows, the Centergy bows, is that the plates in the side would rattle a little bit when I shot, and this year they've just replaced those with just kind of a rubber insert, so there's no rattling at all. It's dead quiet. In fact, I think you could use this bow for hunting purposes very easily. It is that quiet. I would say this matches up with like the Matthews TRX38 as the two quietest target bows I've ever shot in my life. It's a treat, and it's got enough speed to be a hunting bow too. The IBO is 325. And with a 350 grain arrow, using my setup, I was seeing speeds of about 292 feet per second. So, not that I would shoot a 350 grain arrow for hunting, but I think even with like a 406 grain arrow, I was getting pretty good speeds about that. I did a full chrono video with both those arrows. You can get the exact results of that. I don't know them all off the top of my head, but this bow has fine speed. I would happily hunt with this bow, assuming you're happy to hunt with a 39-inch bow. I've set this bow up with the string stops rather than the limb stops. I just generally prefer a little bit more give when I'm at full draw, and so that's why I like having the string stops in there. They give you a little bit. It's still a pretty firm wall, but you have just a touch of a pull through, which I like a lot. This bow really strikes a similar pose to the Matthews TRX38 and the 40. It's a all riser and short limbs, so it's a super long riser design and kind of short, almost parallel limbs, and that is a style of bow I've really come to like over the last 6 years. I had an old Maitland bow, which is a company that's no longer around, and that bow was not quite to this extreme with the parallel limbs, but a similar style, and I shot that bow. That's the best bow I ever shot before I started doing these videos and started shooting the TRX38 in this bow. So I just have a soft spot for those style of bows. I don't know why. I'm sure there's a science behind it, but for whatever it is, it just suits my shooting style, and I've always really liked them. Trying to think anything else beyond that. Added bit of value with Prime, if you didn't know, is that you get free replacement strings and cables every 2 years. So if you're the type of person that's going to buy a target bow like this and hope to hold on to it for a long time, which is what I would do if when I was buying my own target bows before I get the test ones in, is I would have my bow for 5-6 years, and because they're expensive, even at $1,300, though it's hundreds of dollars less than some other Prime target bows, it's still a lot of money. And if you can get free strings every 2 years, that's at least $100 value, I would think, every time you get those strings. So it really does add up over the long run. It's a cool feature. I don't know anyone else that does that than Prime, than offering the free replacement strings, and it's a really, I don't know, it shows me something that they're confident in what they're making, and the strings have held up fine. I've got no peak twist on, and I've probably put 5,000 arrows through this thing, and I've had no twist in the strings at all. I'm not seeing any fuzzing. The servings are holding up really well, so I have no doubt these strings would last me for a full year if I was just using this bow exclusively. Beyond that, the bow is just, it's been a real treat to shoot. The draw cycle is a little stiffer, I would say, than the Centergy. I think it's hard to, I haven't shot them side by side, so it's hard to really remember. But it's very smooth. It's a lot of the Prime target bows in the past had a kind of a noticeable hump into the valley, and this one pulls very smooth almost until you hit the stops. You could feel like just the slightest little bump, but it's almost imperceptible, and for my money, a vast improvement over the draw cycles of the past. I really like that draw. I'm willing to sacrifice a slightly stiffer draw cycle for a smooth one. It just makes me, I don't know, I never have that issue where you roll the cams and maybe your arrow bumps off the blade rest if you're using a blade rest, which is a pain. Anyone who shot tournament archery, it's always embarrassing. So I like that a lot. It's a super smooth shooting bow, and it's dead quiet and vibration free in the hand, as I mentioned before. It's just it's a treat to shoot this bow for hours on end without worrying about any vibration or noise, and it's great. I've had comments from people at my club noticing how quiet that bow was. It gets people's attention in a good way. So ArcheryTalk, I think that's it for now. Hope you liked the video. Keep in mind we'll have a full shootout for our 2019 target bows very soon. We have three target bows in this year, and then we'll follow that up with all the reviews and the full shootouts for the hunting bow videos later on. Thanks again so much for watching, and we'll see you again soon.